Welcome to the Wise Women Podcast and our debut season, Wisdom's Discovery, Finding Your Center at the Edge. Because some moments in life call us to our edge and then beckon us to expand beyond it. In this season, we dive into the shared experiences of 20 remarkable women. And through honest conversation, we explore together the moments that shape us, stretch us, undo us, and ultimately return us to ourselves. I'm Catherine Jelinek, and this is the Wise Women Podcast. Hello, everyone. So it is my delight to introduce you to Erin Thiem. Erin is a certified EOS implementer and has a lovely story to share with us. I am so excited to get to hear it. Thank you for being here, Erin.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So where does your story begin?
My story begins at the top of a mountain in northern Spain, which might be a weird place for a story to begin. I was in my junior year of university. I studied abroad in Spain the spring semester. And spring break was coming around, and we did get a full week off for spring break. And most of my classmates decided to party it up in Ibiza. But I had a friend who was also studying abroad. My best friend was studying abroad also in Spain. And we decided that we wanted to become pilgrims. We had heard of this experience, this pilgrimage. It's called the Camino de Santiago. The full Camino begins in France and then ends in Santiago. And we decided we were going to do the last leg of that journey together. So, all of our friends take off for the beach, and then we pack our giant heavy backpacks. And I got to tell you, maybe my friend did a little bit of research. I did almost none. I knew nothing. I bought 2 bus tickets, a bus ticket to the drop-off point, and then a bus ticket home from Santiago, and then packed my bag and off we went. So we disembark from our bus in this remote place. There's a bus, the bus drives off, and then there's no more cars. There's very little of anything. And to my surprise, there is waist-high snow. There is an insane amount of snow, and I'm wearing like windbreaker pants and tennis shoes. You would think in my giant backpack that we would have gear for this sort of thing, but we did not, in fact, have gear for this sort of thing. So in that moment, I think we were both shocked, and it was like, oh my gosh, what did we do? The bus just took off. But in a flash, we just started howling. We just were cracking up. Like, of course it's snowy, and we don't really know anything about this. So we just put on earnest smiles and a positive attitude, and we take off walking. We're going to do the Camino. And so we take off walking, and we're just smiling and laughing, and we're walking along a little path, and we come up to a man, and he says, Las Americanas. And he said, are you on the Camino? Sí. He goes, it's that way. Embark on this journey with, the most naive, cheerful approach that you could even imagine. And then we're walking the wrong direction. How are we supposed to know we were going the wrong way? You can't even see the yellow arrows that are guiding the path because of all the snow. So far, we're 5 minutes into this adventure.
Oh my gosh.
And there's waist-high snow, and we've gone the wrong direction. But we're like,
okay,
now we're on the right path. So my friend and I, U-turn and start walking the proper direction so that we have any chance of actually ending this pilgrimage in Santiago. And we're just sort of like awkwardly walking behind this man who just told us we were going the wrong direction. And it's weird, like he's like, 5 steps ahead of us, and we're just kind of quiet, and he's quiet. And so we start talking with him, and he's a Spanish man, Spanish as a native language. We're Americans abroad in Spain trying desperately to blend in. We did not. We did not blend in at all.
Red hair.
And so we're trying to converse in Spain. in Spanish, excuse me. And we just almost instantly developed a true deep friendship with this man who had done more research than us. Luckily, he had done a smidge more research. We ended up walking the entire Camino with this person. We walked a total of 100 miles in 5 days.
Wow.
Which was a lot.
Yeah, just a lot.
Another kind of like fun spin of the story, we were supposed to have 6 days to do this 100-mile trek. But my friend and I, in the most ridiculous, absurd way possible, missed our bus to get there. So we lost that bus fare, had to buy another bus ticket, and we were down to 5 days because we had to be back in time for class, and we had our return bus ticket. So now we have 5 days to walk 100 miles. Let me kind of ground this in where we are in time. This is 2007. We are, 20 years old at that time. There were no cell phones. There was no public transportation. We didn't have a map. You would also think a map might have been something that made it into the giant backpack, but we didn't. We had basically none of the appropriate gear that you should have. So I think kind of reflecting back on that, we just had this experience where we had so little expectation coming into this because I didn't know anything. It was like blissful naivete.
Yeah.
We knew nothing, so we expected almost nothing. And I think that the freedom that allowed us to experience just really allowed us to be fully present and fully, honestly, like reliant on community, on relationships, on the universe to protect us a little bit. I mean, we just were so ignorant. We just knew nothing. So anyways, we ended up having this incredible experience. Our Spanish guide, we felt like physically protected us and like physically helped us make it to the finish line, which we did make in time for our return bus fare. But come to find out, towards the end of our trip, he kind of came to light that he was really looking for relationship and connection. He was going through a pretty deep, dark period of his life. He'd had some trauma in the recent past. And he said he didn't know what he needed when he signed up for the Camino, but hanging out with two girls who just laugh at almost every ridiculous thing is exactly what he needed in his life. So it was almost like the universe just gave us the humanity that we needed in those relationships.
Wow.
But there's like so many like mini stories that I could tell you.
Yeah, keep it up.
This one adventure. One of my other kind of favorite memories, we were walking through on that first day. Okay, I already said the waist high snow. In that afternoon alone, we made it through the snow as we went down the mountain. We made it through the snow. There was no more snow. And it started hailing, like golf ball size hail. I do think we had ponchos. I think that was a piece of gear we had. Our friend had other better gear, like a raincoat, but we like put on our ponchos like it was going to do something to protect us from this hail. And again, we're just laughing. And then it rained after the hail, then it's a downpour of rain. And again, I think in that moment, my friend and I, like, we could have cried. We could have quit, although I don't know what we would have done. There was no other way home other than walking. I feel like this story, when I reflect back on it, it could have been a tragedy or it could have been a horror story. We could have made this a lot of really this could be a story of how everything went wrong, but that's not what it is at all. This is a story about how everything went right. And I just think it's incredible that in the moment I didn't realize I was choosing joy or choosing adventure or choosing to rely on, other humans to get me through all of that. And for a long time, I just thought this was a funny story. But now as I'm older and I reflect back on it, I think there was so much wisdom gained and so much life experience crammed into a 5-day trek, 100-mile trek through the mountains of northern Spain. I wanted to say one other story. This is just funny. I don't know if there's any wisdom here, but I thought it was fantastic. One of the best parts of the Camino is the community that you truly build with other pilgrims. And they come from all over the world. So it was me and my best friend and then our Spanish friend. But as you walk, you'll walk a mile or two with one group and they'll stop for a snack and you keep walking, but then they catch up with you. And so you kind of develop this network of people who are all walking the Camino at about the same time. So we would kind of interact with probably the same 20 to 30 other pilgrims throughout this week-long adventure. And I can vividly remember as we're hiking, and there was a German person, a French person, a couple Spanish people, and then a couple Americans. And not everybody spoke English and not everybody spoke Spanish. So we were having real conversation, talking about our families and our hopes and our dreams and what we loved. And it was being translated twice before it got to the person who asked the question. And so I just think it's so incredible that, like, you know, that deep connection can happen even, and maybe not even despite of, but like in presence of limited language, limited ability to say words, human connection can still occur. So
Yeah.
as we're walking with this group of people, we were approaching one town, and our friend Jordy, his name, and Jordy said, "We're about to get to a famous. It's the best pulpo in the world. You have to eat the pulpo." We're like,
All
"The
right.
best pulpo in the world? How
Yeah.
lucky are we?" Yes. And so we sit down at this, and it just kind of happened. This like communal style table, farm table, with all of these people that we've been walking with. There's probably 30 people at this table. My friend and I are like, "We get to eat the best pulpo in the world." Turns out pulpo had not made it into our vocab test yet in Spanish.
What was it?
Do you know what pulpo is? It's octopus. That is the Spanish word for octopus. It is literally basically a live octopus plopped down on the table. There's no plate, there's no platter. It's just an octopus in the middle of the table. And you eat it like communal style.
Pull on it.
You just start pulling and eating. And we're like, so anyways, we had to eat the best pulpo in the world with all of our pilgrim friends.
Well, I don't know if I could do it when it's all like that. Like,
Just a little, like I just had a little. They had bread. You could kind of like stick it in the bread. We were trying so hard to be natives. You know, I think, again, so that's a silly little side story. But again, you know, I think it was that mentality of just like choose the adventure. It would be easier to do X, but we're going to choose this. And so I think just like that mentality and just approaching it again with joy and laughter.
have you been able to like use this in life?
Yeah.
I'm like reflecting and thinking about it for myself because I would like to live like this. Like I'd like to feel like every day is an adventure and not complain and, you know, see the mishaps as like the delights.
Yeah.
Were you able to translate that to like the regular, even like today?
Perfectly. I feel like I have imperfectly applied this throughout the rest of my life. So I have so many stories of where, yes, I did boldly choose adventure when it didn't make sense at all. And also, it is also true that I have been a card carrying, do gooder, try hard, checklist, box ticking person who has really wanted to control outcomes, manage the process, have wanted desperately. I've spent much of my life wanting to be in charge of the beginning, the middle, and the end.
I can relate to this.
I think in reflecting back, while I show up that way often, when those become my guiding principles, when that becomes the most true thing about who I am, that's when I feel lost, frustrated, annoyed, tired. And it's in those moments that I think that I have been able to then seek the next adventure. I don't know that in the moment I would have ever been able to articulate it that way, but I think I have gone through these patterns of like controlling, and then just being lost and frustrated and tired, and then boldly choosing adventure. So another side story. So I bought a business with less than 24 hours worth of research and due diligence.
Love it.
Twice.
Nice.
Times 2.
You might be at your best when you're uninformed.
So, you know, and again, like I didn't make any of these connections until I was till I started thinking about the story. And so I do think that there have been moments in my adult life where, yes, I have been able to choose adventure and choose joy. Choose joy even when it's hailing, snowing, raining, and I have a heavy backpack without any of my essential gear that I need.
Yeah.
You can choose to be, I can choose to be frustrated or victim, or I can choose to laugh and have fun. And when I choose to laugh and have fun, the outcome is always better.
Mm.
So I think the other thing that has continued to be true, Catherine, for me is that community piece. It was one of my favorite parts of the Camino. And I was nerding out with a friend, Jill, recently over the word community. We were geeking out. And she said, Erin, I was looking at the word community and what is in the word of community? You have to have something to be in community. And she circled unity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, Jill, but it's so funny. As you were teeing up that question, do you know what I was thinking? You have to commune. So we were breaking down this word, and like commune is a verb. It takes action. It takes initiative to commune. But then unity is a mindset. It's a way of being present. And when we can choose those things, we can surround ourselves, then that ability to be in community makes all of the other hard stuff totally doable. And I think that has continued to be true in every instance of my life.
And it's so fun and interesting too, where you found some of the most heartfelt, natural moments of community in these environments where unity didn't mean sameness, right?
Right.
It meant
No.
like actual never been in a spot with people more, with different paths and languages and things. It's just, it's interesting in the unity, what you said, where it's presence, it's the shared presence of it, which I think is also at the heart of commune too. Like, how can you commune without being present?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love taking the action and the mindset and then merging it into one word that then creates this whole approach to how we can handle the hard things in life where they're not so hard and they're actually mostly fun adventures.
Yes. This is such a good story reminder for like, everything is how you take it, like you can put on a totally different story, different attitude, different energy to this whole tale. If you had
I think that's true. I think I could tell this story with a totally different tone and I would remember different aspects of the story. Certainly. But I think we chose joy in the moment. And so that has allowed us to see all of the wisdom and magic and just exceptional experience that we had in this 5-day period. I think something else, as none of this, I wouldn't have been able to say any of this when I got home from this trip, right?
No,
But
for
as
sure.
I'm sitting here today, 40 years old, looking back at something that happened 2 decades ago, I had a kind of a realization that I have been telling myself a story that I'm a control freak. And I now understand, just in the past few weeks, that that's an incomplete story.
I
It
love
might be
that.
true, but it's incomplete. And I have actual evidence in my own life that that's not always true. Sometimes I can like let go of expectations and the desire to control and being fearful of what could or could not happen or how it might be perceived. And I have evidence that I have done this. And when every time that I have let go of controlling the outcome, unimaginable possibilities have been revealed.
Oh,
If I had been in control, I would have never gotten to experience these. I couldn't have dreamed of the outcome that was actually allowed because of the letting go and the freedom that has been created.
you are giving me the chills. I feel like it's this circling around. We all want adventure, but you cannot control an adventure. Huh?
I think that that's what an adventure is,
Right. The unknown.
right? You can plan a fun trip,
Mhm.
where you know exactly what you're going to do, see, and eat, but that's not really an adventure, I don't think.
Okay. So where does this leave you today? Like, do you and how you view control
Mhm.
and what you want?
Mhm. Well, it's a journey. I mean, I don't do this perfectly, and I don't expect that I ever will.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful that this story and sharing this story has created an awareness for me. Evidence. I know I've already used that word once, but like it's helpful for me to have proof that it's possible. Adventure is possible, and so I was kind of laughing, chuckling inside that I hope that I do choose adventure and joy and packing my backpack full of cookies and Nutella and not a compass more often, you know?
Yeah.
Metaphorically, there's a lot of different opportunities, even in adulthood when I have kids and a career and lots of like concrete scaffolding in my life that the structures of my life that I don't necessarily have any, they just are what they are. There's lots of room to create magic and adventure inside those structures.
You're right. And sometimes we can view ourselves in a different era without that magic of like walking through northern Spain randomly and think it's just
Right.
not us now,
I
right?
can't do that right now. I can't do that right now. But this is a teeny tiny little story. But, last week I had in the back of my mind, I've had, I want to hire a fitness coach. Like I want some help. I want some coaching around some of my fitness goals. But I wasn't trying to grind. I wasn't trying to force it. And I was at a party and there's this lady who looks awesome. And then I find out she's a personal trainer.
Nice.
And I just walked over to her and I was like, hi, I think the universe is telling me that I need to know you because I've had it percolating that I need a fitness coach and I think that we're supposed to work together. So she's like, okay, great. And she called me. We talked about my goals. We talked about what she offers. And she said, why don't you come see my gym so you can see if it's going to work? And I was like, okay, that sounds good. And then I called her back and I was like, hey, I don't really want to come see your gym. Can we just schedule our first workout and just just do this? I don't need any more. We don't need any more interviewing. And so again, like this is like teeny tiny little story, but I think again, it's just evidence that we can just boldly pursue and dive in head first without really knowing like what we're signing up for. And every time I've done that, I feel like the universe has delivered and it has been exactly the right thing at exactly the right time.
You're also not totally, I'd say it's not just shooting from the hip, even though it kind of feels like that, but
Mhm.
it's very heart led, these moments of yours.
It is, yeah. I guess it's heart-led. I've always said I'm a gut-led person, but like I
Mm.
know in my gut. I know in my gut if this is the right direction. But I think I'm tuning into my heart more and more. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's,
Mhm.
I mean, gut and heart,
Yeah.
similar regions
Mhm.
in general, something good swirling. But
Mhm.
the idea that you're walking over there and
Yeah.
letting, yeah,
Part of it is a little bit of trust in the universe, I think is another aspect of this.
yeah,
I've been thinking I need a trainer, and then somebody is revealed to me, and I think this is it. Like, I'm going to trust that the universe has created these little serendipities. And when the universe hands me a serendipity, I want to say yes.
mm,
I want to start from a place of yes rather than approaching it with cynicism or, um, you know, that somebody has something to prove.
great.
I want to start with yes.
I love that. I love that energy. And then when we give the universe space to show up, like it needs a little space. If we try and
Mhm.
control it all, there's no space for it, right? To the
Mhm.
magical moments to occur.
Mhm. Yeah, that's right.
Do you feel like there was, I mean, I can hear the tones of like the gray edge of some of this journey because the other side of it is what you've said about feeling like you label yourself as a control freak and the
Mhm.
control element. And the
Mhm.
edge was not so much an edge of that, but it was like this microcosm experience that was totally outside of the normal that showed you what was possible. encountered a long-standing belief that it's not always that way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I love that you're still unpacking that today. As you say, imperfectly, but there's no other way to do it. So that's the only, like, that's honestly and
Mm-hmm.
well done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, in your words, what are the lines, the morals of the story?
I think to me, there's really, I think I would boil this down that there's to three morals. That the first moral being adventure is a mindset, it's a choice. When we're given opportunities, I think we can choose adventure. And I hope I can continue to do that in my future when those opportunities are presented. I also think that we can choose joy in a lot of instances. Maybe not always, but I think oftentimes when things are when it's metaphorically or literally snowing, hailing, and raining on you and your life, it's going to rain regardless. Why can't we smile and laugh about it? Have a little bit of fun where there's fun to be had, right? And so I think choosing joy is another moral of the story. And then the limitless possibilities that are expanded when we let go of when we become unattached to the outcome.
I love that.
I think, oh man, there's a bonus fourth moral, which is community makes every experience better. This experience would have been totally different if I had done this in isolation. I don't think I would even have a story to tell if I had done this by myself. And quite frankly, I don't even know if it would have been possible. I think community was the vehicle that allowed this story to this literal pilgrimage that happened in real life, but also a little bit of a pilgrimage of the soul and a pilgrimage of the mind. It existed via community. That was the vehicle that allowed the pilgrimage to occur.
Wow.
Mhm.
Like, how much deep stuff when
From
you
this silly little story, I
a
know.
1 week moment in your 20s.
It's disproportionate. It's disproportionate. That amount of time, the studying abroad and when I was 20, has like I think of or I reflect back on the experiences in that time of my life, much more often than the amount of time would suggest. But that also like sparks a question in my mind. How much more magic and wisdom is there to gain, even in the silly little stories, the funny ones, the ones that we just think are dinner party fodder? There might be more wisdom and magic inside those stories if we just go searching for it, which I think that telling the story really allowed for me to have that adventure, honestly, have the adventure of unpacking the story from my history.
Hmm. And how much we can really enjoy and learn from. You can receive deep things from funny things.
From funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think funny is, yeah, I agree completely.
Like, the levity doesn't mean there's less gravity, there's still so much meaning, which is so beautiful.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, this could just be like a silly little side story, but I think that there's so much more to it, which tells me that that's always true.
Hmm. It is what you make it, I think.
Hmm.
We talk about stories, and I like to use the metaphor of compost, because sometimes life is like, you're throwing this bit in, you're throwing that bit in. The waste from this whole experience gets chucked in. Oh, you give it some time.
That's right.
Here we go. And all of a sudden, it's the nutrients that you can plant your next thing in, you
Yes.
know? And it's
Yeah.
unexpected, and it just needs a little time and turning, and that's what you've done to this.
I love that all it needs is a little bit of time.
Yeah.
The wisdom and the magic sometimes is not apparent in the present. But if we can reflect back on it after time, like with a little bit of time, the beauty of in hindsight of time, it's there.
Yes. It's all in how you compost it, and then realize you grow things from this, but then so do others. That's
Mhm.
you're giving this away too, sharing the nutrients. So I want to wrap yours up with a question I haven't asked anyone else, but could you wrap us with the gratitude you'd like to share with your 20 whatever year old self? Because I feel like there's like some coolness in how this story connects the two timelines of you, There's something really lovely to get to reconnect with those old selves.
I am so grateful that she was brave. That it would have been easier, more normal to just go with her friends to Ibiza. And it would have been fun too. There would have been more stories there.
Yeah, something like that.
And that even though she knew nothing, had no accommodate, we didn't know where we were sleeping. We knew nothing. She bravely chose adventure, even though it was more in her nature, even then, to be high achieving, controlled. Let's know exactly what's going to happen throughout this entire trip, and she just let that go. And I think that is brave.
It is. To let a big piece of identity just drop on a whim is very brave.
Or ignorant. I'm okay with either, perhaps, but blissfully ignorant.
Which is obviously very useful. As you've proven a few times over.
Yeah, if I had known, if I had, I don't know, checked the forecast and seen that there was snow, I might have said, hey, we should reschedule. But the ignorance was in this instance. I'm grateful that we did everything, even though we knew nothing.
Love this.
I'd love to hear. I know this story is about me, but is there an adventure? What's a way you could choose adventure in your life? Where is there adventure for you?
This is hitting home. I think that there's a lot of us who can raise our hands about being more controlling and thinking we need to have it all mapped out, and then knowing that we're missing the juice because it's too clutched. So your story is a good crack in that toughness there.
Yeah.
Erin, you've given me a lot to have to think about in the best way.
We said one thing before the recording started that I think it bears repeating, because I think that there may be some gold here too that I didn't know about until 20 minutes ago. I'm so grateful that this experience happened prior to cell phones and social media.
Yes.
That it's likely a different experience these days. Probably still a great experience, but a different experience. And so that's given me something to chew on to continue to get wisdom from this story about how being disconnected from my past, my day-to-day life, being disconnected from that created this freedom for this Camino experience. And I think being disconnected from technology was a big part of that. So where are there opportunities to disconnect from technology to be more present in the real world is perhaps something I could continue to think about.
I think you're right on with this, because present therefore allows you to be open to the adventure in front of you. And too often we might be missing it with the constant hamster loop that causes.
And circling back to, remember what word we used for community? What allows for community is its presence. It would have been tough to really harness the beauty of community.
Of the people right in front of you if you were texting those at home.
If we weren't fully 100% present in our bodies and in nature. Yeah. So we found even more wisdom in this story just here today, talking about it.
Just a little turn of the compost, you get a little more.
We're still composting.
And we always will be, I think. But Erin, this is multi-layered and rich and beautiful and hilarious and so delightful to get to hear. And you told it so well, and it's so enjoyable to just receive it. Thank you so much for stepping into this story again with yourself and telling it to us. This is
Well, thank you for receiving it. What a joy to have my story heard and to get to share.
a pleasure, absolute pleasure. And I know that our listeners will think so as well. Everyone, how fun was that? And looking forward to seeing it in a chapter 2.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for riding along, and till next time. Thank you for listening to the Wise Women podcast. You can find the book, Wisdom's Discovery, Finding Your Center at the Edge, on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com. And keep listening to the wisdom that your life is offering you.